The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
There has been plenty of drama in the first half of a 2016 to 2017 iROC Warshock Super Series presented by FireMarshalBills.com, and out of it has emerged a new points leader as the series heads west to the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa for round 6 of the season, and you're going to get to see it all live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Our director Joe Peak is behind the scenes doing all the button pushing, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. For the past few weeks, this series has travelled to a variety of short tracks where beating and banning was part of the game. However, Tanner, these drivers are going to have to adopt a much different approach tonight here at the Iowa Speedway.
Most definitely there's Sam. Iowa Speedway, one of my favorite racetracks, and it is patterned after the Richmond International Raceway with the ideas from Rusty Wallace, who had so much success at Richmond. Tonight here at Iowa, it is a 7/8 mile racetrack with 12 to 14 degrees of banking in the corners of the racetrack, which should provide a lot of multi-groove racing. 125 laps these guys are going to turn tonight. Fuel should not be a concern. Everybody's driving the same setup, so it should be a really good one tonight. No advantages there. Weather 75 air and track temperature tonight, so it's going to be incredibly grippy and a lot of close racing action. So to get an idea how to get around this little joint of Iowa Speedway, let's hop on board the GSRC Super Late Model here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazik, taking you for a spin around the Iowa Speedway in the GSRC Super Late Model. Iowa Speedway is a personal favorite of mine here on the iRacing service, and I'll show you why here in a second. To start your hot lap, you're going to see guys dive it real hard into the corner, take a real late entry into the corner, but you're going to cut down because the Super Late Model really drives off the right rear. Watch the kind of push loose that you might get out of turn 2 there. Down into turn 3, kind of let it float through the middle here. You don't want to go all the way to the bottom, you don't want to go all the way to the top, but if you roll the middle, just like you saw, you can cut down and really make that turn 4 exit straight. Now here's where it gets fun. As the run progresses, you're going to see guys all over this speedway. So you're going to see guys maybe down here in turn 1 take a really high arc and try to get it as straight off the corner as possible to minimize tire wear. Just make it a little easier to drive. Turns 3 and 4, up here, up in this, almost up scraping the wall, is the money group. You're going to get back into the throttle, drive it off the right rear, coming out of turn 4, across the line. And that's going to complete your track guide here around the Iowa Speedway. I'm Brian Yazik. Enjoy the show.
So that is the track. They'll be doing 125 laps of it tonight. Who are they? Well, let's have a look at some of the top names in this series as we've reached the halfway point of the season. We have a new points leader. Justin Blackdeer now holds a points lead by 4 markers over Brian Yazik with 5 rounds left to go in the season. It's a straight championship all the way through with just 10 rounds. No trace or anything to have to worry about there. So Brian Yazik just got a few markers left to claw back after a not so hot round last week. Tim Knott back third in the points ahead of last week's winner Zach Coyer and Gary Whitson rounding out the top 5. I think once you get further back of that, Tanner, those guys on the outside of the top 5, they've got a bit of work to do.
They definitely have a bit of work to do indeed there, Sam, because tonight there's only going to be about 19 drivers starting this field, and the drivers outside the top 5 are about 20 points or more back from the points lead, and there isn't a chase that I know of for this series. So the way I'm really looking at it is it's pretty much between the top 3 drivers chasing for that championship. Justin Blackdeer, Brian Yazik, and Tim Knott. Tim Knott maybe 10 points out, but he can seriously gain some points, serious points on Yazik and Blackdeer for that championship by finishing ahead of those 2 guys.
Now, one driver sitting just outside the top 5 in points is a name we're all too familiar with, Michael Krobach, a driver for number 7. Now, on your timing screens today, you're going to see the name Michael Krobach listed as a driver for number 7, and sure enough, Michael Krobach will get the points for where this car finishes. However, it's actually a different driver behind the wheel, Tanner. It's Travis McQuestrian, a driver that we are familiar with. He's usually up there hanging around the top 10, although I don't think I've seen him in these Super Late models before.
I haven't recalled seeing him in the super late models before, Sam, but Travis McQuestrian, every time I think of him, I always think of him driving the old Microsoft machine, Gen 6 stock car machine. Travis McQuestrian can usually take it easy at the first part of a race, but he can really be a factor for a race win when it comes down to it. I haven't seen him drive these super late models before, but we're going to see him drive some super late model racing tonight under the Michael Krobach machine.
That's the number 7 car, and we'll see him take to the track shortly, as well as all the other cars. For 2 laps of qualifying, they will have a 5-minute qualifying session, where each driver will have the track to themselves at the same time for 5 minutes. We can do that with virtual reality. It works quite well. Just 2.5 minutes left. You see there, left in the top left of your screen, you see we've got 2.5 minutes left of practice. Now, the reason you don't see any cars on track is because they are all having a drivers' meeting right now. Robert Barber leading that. And the driver fastest in practice, Tanner, is Tim Bills. I don't think he's been in all the races this season, but when he has been in the races, he's been right up there up front, so that 37 topping the timing sheets in practice is definitely going to be a threat tonight.
Yeah, Tim Bills has only had 2 starts in this series so far with an average finish of a 5th place. His very first start in this series was back at New Smyrna Speedway, dominated that race, leading every single lap but one, and then his next race was at the Lucas Oil Raceway, which he ended up finishing 9th from coming from the back of the pack and didn't lead any laps. But tonight he's on top of the practice chart, so if he can start up towards the front tonight, Sam, watch out, he's going to be a factor.
Yeah, and of course, a little bit of an adventure last week at the end of a race. A lot of drivers who were performing well got caught up in an incident, kind of fell towards the back and had to rally their way up front. At the end of the day, the driver who got his first win of the season was Zach Hoyer, who was 3rd place with just a couple of laps to go. The 2 leaders, Brian Neff and Dalton Collins, got together. It was Neff who got spun by Collins, and then Collins was given a penalty for causing a collision. That's something they do in this series, and so Zach Hoyer sneaked on by and got his first win there. You see him in the number 15 Cold Beer Racing machine tonight. Another feeling, if he gets another win, moves up in the points, he'll have one of those when he finishes the race again, Tanner.
Yeah, definitely. Zach Hoyer, he's only led 1 lap this season, and that was last week at Lucas Oil Raceway, leading all but 1 lap. He has found himself in some sort of trouble in one way or another in the past races, but tonight he should be a little more comfortable. Iowa Speedway is a multi-groove racetrack. You can really take it easy here without banging the fenders around here. There's a little more room on the racetrack, and with him being, where is he on the speed charts here? He's somewhere on the speed charts. Zach Hoyer in the back of the pack, 17th so far on the speed charts. If I was him and he doesn't get a good qualifying run, just take it easy. A lot of racing to go tonight. You'll get that halfway competition caution and get some stickers on that thing, and then try to drive her towards the front. Just be mindful for the exit of the corner, because these cars can get tight on the exit, and everybody's going to be fighting for that higher side of the racetrack there, Sam, because there's more grip up there, but you can get the bottom to work though.
Practice has just finished, so we are about to advance to qualifying. All those practice times don't matter anymore. Now, you talk about Zach Hoyer being 17th out of 20 cars, 19 cars actually set time. It doesn't sound that good. However, he was only 0.3 of a second off of the fastest time, so it could be a very competitive race. First car to take to the tracks, we see him on screen. It's the number 46 being driven by Cole Williams. Each driver will have 2 laps to themselves around the Iowa Speedway here. If they do get in the wall at all, that lap time will not count. And getting in the wall is not something you want to do here, Tanner. At the past races, you can get away with it because those were short tracks where aerodynamics didn't matter a whole lot. But at Iowa, it's an entirely different story.
Yeah, you can bang up the fenders here just a little bit, but not too much like your other typical short track. Iowa Speedway, you're going to need that straightaway speed to get down the front stretch and the back stretch to get from one end of the track to another, and you're going to want to keep them fenders intact as well. And sticking here at the wall here, Sam, if you hit it hard enough, you can go spinning towards the inside and crash into some other cars. But depending upon how you hit the wall on the exit of the corner here, it sticks like a magnet, and then everybody's going to dive to the bottom side of the racetrack. So you really got to pay attention ahead of you of who's in the wall, because sometimes these cars just stick to the wall like a magnet.
We don't always have favourites here, but I'll tell you what, I'd like to see Cole Williams get a good finish tonight and ask him what that thanks mum, the wording was on the side of his number 46 machine there. He turned in his laps. He's currently second fastest behind Scott Formosa, so we might get to talk to him at the end. There you see Mark McCrary goes third fastest right now behind Formosa and Williams. I think Brian Jarzik will be the last driver who was our points lead until last week to turn on the time. He was sitting in the pits for a little bit, so we'll watch that number 55 machine around the speedway here.
You know, you talk about Cole Williams there, Sam, and his consistency is keeping him up there in the top 10 in points. He's currently 6th right now in the point standings. He had a 3rd place at Lucas Oil and an 8th place at New Smyrna Speedway. So those two tracks right there, top 10 finishes, is really what's keeping him up there in the point standings. The only 2 races he was outside the top 10 was at Martinsville and Richmond, which was the 1st and 3rd race of the season. So consistency is keeping Cole Williams really consistent right now.
Well, we see Brian Jarzik has gone fastest, but let's get the camera on the number 95 of Dalton Collins, because he was second fastest in practice. He just crossed the line, but cannot match what he did in practice at all. He only goes 5th fastest, and I think he might be one and done. Now, the driver who was fastest in practice, the 37 of Tim Bills, he just went across the line as well, and I'm guessing he's... Well, this is interesting, because we've seen at the last race as well, Tim Bills didn't turn a lap during qualifying. It didn't work for him, but I guess you can afford... last week, you couldn't really afford to start from the back 10 at Lucas Oil Raceway. It was just impossible to pass. Iowa Speedway is not always easy to pass, but the 125 laps, I think it's easier than what it was at Lucas Oil Raceway. Tim Bills could very well be up the front at the end tonight.
Yeah, comparing Lucas Oil Raceway to Iowa Speedway is comparing apples to oranges. And here you got more degrees of banking in the middle of the corners compared to Lucas Oil, where it's completely flat and you're running up by the wall constantly. Here, yeah, it's true you're running up by the wall, but on fresher tires you can really make that bottom side go in the early point stages of the race, and that's what really creates multi-groove racing, especially with the dynamic track surfaces iRacing has here. It's going to be a really phenomenal race, and I don't think Tim Bills, with 19 cars on the track, I don't think Tim Bills is all too worried about finishing in the back of the pack. I think he's going to try to make up those positions early while the tires are sticking, and then drop to the high side and just ride on the line until you get that caution flag.
Travis Owens was the driver we saw on camera there. He's completed his qualifying times. He's just logging laps right now, but the times won't count because he's already got his 2 qualifying times in. In about half a minute, this qualifying session will end and we will advance to race mode. And let's take a look at the way in which they will be starting. It will be Brian Jarzik on the pole position. Lined up alongside him will be Scott Formosa. Thanks Mum, Mr. Cole Williams will be starting in 3rd place alongside Mark McCrary, and behind them will be Dalton Collins and Tim Knott, who sits 3rd, and the points will start 6th tonight. Mark Myers and Louis Robinette are on the 4th row, both good qualifying sessions for them, as well as Jeff Faulkner back there in 9th. I'm not sure we can say the same for our points leader though, Justin Blackdeer starting back there in the 10th position.
And outside the top 10 is going to be Matt Vade in number 8, starting 11th tonight. Jeffrey Gilliam in the Sim Racing App Super Late Model will roll off 12th. Brian Neff will roll off 13th. Zach Coyer, 4th in points, will roll off 14th. Travis Owens will roll off in 15th. And Travis Owens right there was the last driver to take a qualifying time. Tim Bills will roll off in the 16th position. Trevor Edwards in 17th. And Travis McQueeston driving the Michael Krobach machine will start off 18th. And I do believe Robert Barber and Carson Albe are the 2 official race officials that will be the off-track admins.
So an 18-car field, pretty much 18 to 20 points around that you can make up during this race. Justin Blackdeer, Brian Jarzik and Tim Knott. Once again, you mentioned, Tanner, really the three drivers with a realistic shot of leaving tonight's race with the points lead. After that, we have 4 races left to go for you. Wondering where they go next. They're at Southern National Motorsports Park next week. The first time that the drivers will be racing there.
Yeah, that's an interesting track. I haven't yet experienced that racetrack myself, but I'm gonna have to get on board and hop into some super late models at that racetrack, because from all the feedback that I've been hearing about that track since it came to the iRacing software, it is loads of fun. So I can't wait to try out myself, turn some laps there as well.
Waiting, I think all the cars are gridded up here. It's just the fact that the 2 league admins are, registered as drivers, but aren't getting gridded up on pit road because they're not racing tonight. That's why we're waiting for the next 10 seconds to pass before they roll off of pit road, since it's less than a mile in length. I have a feeling we'll see 2 pace laps here, and then they will be racing for 125 laps tonight. Remember that this race, you're almost going to see a bit of what you're going to see in NASCAR this year here. The NASCAR Monster Energy Series is going to be splitting all its races into 3 segments this year. Well, this series splits its races up into 2 segments. They go 62, 63 laps, and then the caution flag is thrown. That's the only time the drivers can come in and change tyres. If a caution comes out at any other point in the race, they can come in and get repairs and add fuel, which they don't need to make it to the end, but they cannot change tyres without taking a penalty, except at that halfway point of the race. And then we go into basically what we can call segment 2 for the last 60 lap stint or so to the checkered flag.
And it should create some exciting racing for sure, Sam. Especially on the NASCAR side of things. From my understanding, NASCAR is going to be doing that for all top 3 of their series: the Cup, the Xfinity, and the Truck. As tonight they're doing 2 segments, which has created some exciting racing as well, and has created some interesting strategies on pit road. So it should be no different here tonight. Drivers might take some 2 tires depending upon how good their car is handling, and we are just about to get ready to get set for Brian Jarzik to take the green flag here at Iowa.
Pace car leading them through turns 1 and 2 down the back straight, and then it will head into the pits, and Brian Jarzik will have control of the field. The race leader at the start of a race and for the restarts of this race must start on the inside. That could be a problem later on, considering that we expect drivers to be making passes on the higher side. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Here they come through turns 3 and 4. Ford Mustang pace car about to make a hard left turn. Brian Jarzik and the number 55 will have control of the field. Can he get the points lead back tonight? We're about to find out as Jarzik leads him out of turn 4. He's on the loud pedal. We are racing here at Iowa Speedway.
Here comes Dalton Collins, 3 wide on the start of the race, overtaking a number 46 of Cole Williams. He's about to go for a battle second place with Scott Formosa on the high side.
Yeah, you see that crosshair front end on Dalton Collins' machine. I don't know if it actually has a Dodge engine under the hood, but it's Mopar Power pushing it up into second place right now. Move that 95 machine into that second spot. The problem is Jarzik has already built up a good lead after lap 1.
Yep, Jarzik working with that clean air in the early going. Dalton Collins in second place, overtaking Scott Formosa. Scott Formosa quietly sitting in third. Cole Williams in fourth, and right behind them is Mark McQuarrie. Lost position early going into the stages. He's backed up in 5th.
Oh, 1 car up in the wall exit in turn 4. It's actually our last week's winner, Zach Coyer. He just brushed the wall. Things got a little hairy. I think they were 3 wide exit in turn 4. Zach Coyer paid the price, but they all keep going.
Yep, keep going right now. He's getting on the high side of the 02 of Travis Owens. He passes him cleanly. There is a battle back here, though, too, between Trevor Edwards in the 32 machine and the 60 of Brian Nett battling side by side. Those guys are actually getting really close to the wall back here.
Early stages here, just 4.5 seconds covering the field of 18 cars. We had all 18 starters take the green. Almost a 3 wide going down the back straight. In fact, it is a 3 wide with Matt Vade in the middle. He has to back out of it. Yeah, Brian Neff comes out on top. And as you mentioned, Tanner, Tim Bill's also in that.
Tim Bill's getting that bottom side, like I said at the top of the show, getting the bottom side of the racetrack, working early on fresh tires. He's doing everything he can. He's going to try to pass Matt Vade. Now he's going to try to work on Brian Neff, getting to that left rear quarter panel as they dive down into turn number 3, door to door. I don't know. I believe Tim Neff is going to have the power run off the exit of the corner, which he does just a little bit.
Meanwhile, up front, there may soon be a battle for second. Dalton Collins currently has it. We remember how he got that second place at the start of this race. But Scott Formosa has kind of reeled him back in. He's not in striking range yet, but he is there on the rear bumper. Behind them, Cole Williams and Mark McCrary round out the top 5.
And Dalton Collins really did a power move coming off turn number 4 there to put a little gap between him and Scott Formosa, and that's a gap right there. Now Dalton Collins, no pressure from behind. Now he's going to try to work on and chase down Brian Yazik. Hopefully Mr. Yazik isn't listening to this broadcast in the background, because we don't want him to feel too much pressured.
Tell you what, they got really close there. We were on board Cole Williams through turns 3 and 4. He got really close to the rear bumper of Scott Formosa. There wasn't any contact though. It's still early stages, and as we mentioned, very high speeds around this track. Let's, as we ride aboard, we'll tell you they're hitting 150 miles an hour entering the turns, and they're only going down to 120 in the centre of the corners. This is not a track where you want to get involved in any kind of incident.
It's a bad, fast track, Sam, and in some cases it is bumpy, especially in that higher line down in turns 1 and 2. You've seen right there, top 5 cars were taking the bottom side of the racetrack down. Up in turns 1 and 2 is extremely bumpy up there. Turns 3 and 4, it's a little more smoother around that cold corner of the racetrack, but 1 and 2 is actually pretty bumpy. This track's actually a little more bumpier than its sister track, Richmond.
Yeah, and I have a feeling those bumps could be hurting Brian Yazik right now. Maybe he's burned off his tyres by checking out in the early stages, because Dalton Collins has really reeled him back in, and I have a feeling Yazik's struggling to find a line that works for him right now. He's a bit over the place, but he's still holding on to that top spot.
Yeah, he's trying to find his groove into the racetrack. He's trying to find some grip in the racetrack to see where it's at. And it looks like Dalton Collins just a tick on the lower side of the racetrack down turns 1 and 2 than what Yazik is. Let's see what they are down turn 3. Yazik high, Collins low. Looks like Yazik might prevail. Oh, they're door-to-door coming off the exit of the corner. What a run by Collins. Yazik does beat him to the line, but I tell you what, man, Dalton Collins got that thing hooked up on the bottom side of the racetrack, and he is really trying to hunt down Yazik.
Well, Yazik seems to have found a lane that's a bit more comfortable for him now, but it was turns 3 and 4 here last time that Collins really ate into that lead. Call him Mr. Collins. He's coming downstairs. He's alongside Yazik, but Yazik gets that run on the high side that'll keep him up front for now.
Yeah, it looks like Collins is really good down turn 3 and 4, and Yazik just kind of keeps it even down in turns 1 and 2. They actually run the same line there down turns 1 and 2 to keep it even right here down turn 3 and 4. Collins actually going to go to the higher side. Mark McCrary for 4th place is actually going to go to the bottom, and Cole Williams as well. So this is a multi-groove racetrack. Drivers are really trying to search the racetrack to see what's working for them.
And what all this moving around allows is some great racing. We have a huge pack of cars fighting for 6th place. Tim Knott ahead of Louis Robinette, Mark Myers, Jeff Fulton, and Tim Bills all in there.
Tim Knott, he's 3rd in points right now. Mark Myers on the high side. The number 30 machine back there. Louis Robinette on the bottom side of the racetrack. I believe that's Jeff Faulkner in the 75. It's on the bottom as well. These guys are trying to get the bottom side of the racetrack working, battling for position. It's a hornet's nest from Tim Knott on back.
Yeah, I think even the pack behind us, they were 3 wide last lap. As they all keep it clean for another lap. We'll keep you updated on the battle up front too. Yazik still has it for now.
Yazik still has the race lead, but that battle for 6th place on back, it's starting to calm down just I shouldn't say calm down. Mark Myers really up by the wall in the bumpy area of the racetrack, and he's actually going to lose momentum because of it. Here comes Tim Bills underneath the 04 of Mark Myers. He's been gaining some serious track position since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, because of how good Bills is, though, even though he didn't turn the qualifying lap, he got to start the highest of the cars that didn't. So he actually started 16th, up to 10th, up to 9th now.
He got his nose chopped off from the 75 of Jeff Faulkner, and tell you what, Tim Bills had to get on the emergency brakes there just a little bit to avoid making contact with the 75 machine of Jeff Faulkner. Right now, Tim Bills making up some serious position. He's going to try this higher side of the racetrack here, get on that outside right rear quarter panel of Jeff Faulkner. Right now, he's just waiting patiently, see what's going to happen. He should get the run right here. Tim Knott does. Tim Bills does as well.
Oh. Yep, that's for the lead. Here goes Dalton Collins. He's trying to attempt the slide drop as it goes through turns 3 and 4. Can't clear him though. He gets alongside Jarzik. Jarzik able to use that higher side momentum. And the caution flies.
I think Trevor Edwards is involved.
Yeah, he's off in the grass.
Ooh.
Lap 19, they made it to without an incident. What happened here?
Looked like him and Mark Myers in the 04 had made contact.
Mark Myers running in 11th place. This was pretty much outside the top 10. Of course, no one should come in to change tyres because you get a penalty if you do so under this caution. This is Travis McQueestrom, remember, we're on board.
And remember at the top of the show here, Sam, we were talking about the outside wall and how I was saying that when a car makes contact with the outside wall on the edge of the corner like this, it really sticks like a magnet. If you see Travis McQueestrom, the 32 machine there of Trevor Edwards just stopped and just kind of stuck to the wall for a brief second, and Travis McQueestrom just went head on right into him.
Yeah, not a whole lot McQueestrom could have done here. It's a funny way to spell McQueestrom there in the bottom left, but we'll have to get used to it tonight. But what it does mean is that Jarzik holds on to the lead for now.
Definitely does, and now these drivers, there's drivers headed down pit road, and they're probably getting some damned repairs. I'm surprised Travis McQueestrom hasn't came down pit road to try to get some damage repaired as well. But there is drivers on pit road getting damage repaired. They can't take tires until the halfway point, because if they do take tires, I do believe they lose a lap on each set.
Yep, that is indeed the case. Well, the good thing about these bigger tracks is there's less people, there's the same amount of drivers, but there's more space for them to fight over, so we don't see as many incidents. The bad news is that means we're going to have a little bit longer cautions for these races. May have to take a couple of breaks throughout the night, but for now let's stick with the action. Let's have a look at some of these drivers in the top 5, because I think some of them are names we're not used to seeing up front. Mark McCreary in 5th and Louis Robinette in 6th really jump out to me.
Yeah, those two drivers are really jumping out to me as well here, Sam. They're both so far having a great night as well. Cole Williams, I believe he's been running up towards the front too. He just has caught up with some bad luck, which causes him to get some bad finishes. But Cole Williams is a driver that's having a much better night than most nights as well. Biggest mover on the racetrack within the top 10, Sam, Tim Bills, 16th to 8th. He's already gained half the positions. So far, Tim Bills, the biggest one on the move so far. And just kind of looking at else throughout the field here, the biggest loser, I shouldn't call him a biggest loser or anything like that, but the guy that's losing positions on track since the start, I am really seeing is probably Mark Myers. Started 7th, backed up to 11th.
Yeah, so not a whole lot of positions. He's just dropped 4 spots back, but as you mentioned, I'm sure he would have liked that to have gone in the other direction. Give you an update on that incident. Trevor Edwards has retired from the race. Meanwhile, an EOL, end of longest line penalty, has been gave to Mark Myers. I guess they deemed that he kind of triggered the incident. Remember, he was the driver who was underneath Edwards as they came out of turn 4. So Myers is going to have a bit more work to do when they get back going again.
Yeah, they'll just have a little more work to do, but there's a lot of time in this race to get on up there. So Mark Myers shouldn't feel all that pressured, but if he's going really slow at one point or another in this race and the race leaders catch you, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, well, that's the other good thing about these bigger tracks, Tanner, I should assume, is there's less chance of going a lap down.
Yeah, definitely. And when you keep getting caution flags like this, so far, 18 cars have started this race. 17 of them are on the lead lap. Trevor Edwards, the only car a lap down, but as you said, he's currently out of this race at the moment. So that only puts 17 cars, and they're all still on the lead lap yet.
You see Cole Williams on your screen in 4th place, I think, was just blinking a couple of times there. We saw this last week as well. Fortunately, it was only temporary, and his connection did clear up, and he was able to bring home a solid finish, I believe, at the end of the night. So Cole Williams sitting 6th in the points. We'll be hoping his connection clears up there, and I think it has. As the lights go off, we'll be back racing next time around at the completion of lap 24. 101 laps left to go.
Now, we've seen in the past Dalton Collins sitting there in the 2nd spot. He's been pretty good on restarts. Sometimes he doesn't time it correctly, but a majority of the good time he's been in that 2nd spot in past races. He's timed that restart really well. So if he gets a good restart here and he's side by side with Yazik, man, I think Dalton Collins would get the race lead away from Yazik. I think Collins just a little better than what Yazik is right now.
Yazik, I almost wonder if he burnt off his tyres a little bit at the start of this race, but then again he's had the chance to get them cooled back down under this caution here. Pace car peels off, Yazik has control of the field once again. Here they go, he gets a good restart, but as you mentioned, Tanner, so does Dalton.
Dalton right close to that back bumper of Brian Yazik. Cleared right now, but he's still pretty close to that back bumper, trying to go for that race lead, getting inching closer and closer to that back bumper. Here he goes to the bottom side of the racetrack, down in turn number 3, side by side, door to door. Yazik trying to get the run off, which he does. He should beat Collins to the line. There is a battle for 4th place, but I tell you what, Dalton Collins trying to get that race lead like he was before that caution flag came out.
Yeah, the battle for 4th place could have got a bit ugly because Mark McCreary and
Yazik! They both hit the wall. They both hit the wall.
Yeah, I think a driver back and forth hit the wall as well. I was going to say, out of turn 4 last time, it looked like McCreary hit the wall. Well, Yazik and I think McCreary definitely hit it out of turn 2 last time. Somehow, though, Yazik has held on to the lead.
Wow, I tell you what, if Collins would have never hit that wall off turn 2, I guarantee he would have dived to the bottom and really passed him for the race lead. But I think Collins did hit the wall as well with Yazik, except I think Yazik got the worst of it. Here he goes back towards the inside. Collins still trying to hunt for the race lead. Yazik really trying to stay strong, fight strong despite the right front damage on his number 55 HPP Simulation Super Late model. Man, it's gotten crazy up front here, Sam, because this is bringing Cole Williams right up into the mix.
Yeah, well, Cole Williams is the one leader who hasn't got into the wall, and now he's got a clean car, a very aerodynamic dependent track as Collins looks underneath Yazik again, washes up off a 4.
Oh.
This could actually help Williams.
Man, Mark McCreary nailed the wall back there in turn 4. He's going to be under pressure right now and almost gets tagged by the number 30 machine of Louis Robinette.
And here comes Tim Beals.
Here he comes.
Tim Beals looking for 5th place, less than 30 laps after starting back in 16th.
Collins really pressuring Yazik for that race lead, but at the same time, Cole Williams is wondering, hey, you guys can battle for the race lead. I'll just sit back here and see what happens. Wow, does Collins get a run off of turn number 2? He actually bump drafts Yazik entering turn 3.
Well, the problem with Collins now is he knows if he attempts a pass on Yazik and it doesn't work, and every single pass attempt he's made tonight hasn't worked, he may risk losing second. He's trying to get to the high side. He knows that's the way he's got to get the pass done now.
He knows that, definitely, and he tried doing that down turn number 1, and Yazik wouldn't let him have it at all. So Yazik doing everything he can to protect his spot on that higher side of the racetrack.
Top 3 running nose to tail. Cole Williams blinking again a little bit. They've got a big lead over the pack for 4th. Here we go. Collins downstairs again. This could backfire on him.
It might backfire him. Oh, wow, they're actually pretty even on the exit of the corner there, Sam. Getting really close to that left rear quarter panel. Collins dives it down low, way to the bottom side of the racetrack. Yazik may have the run off. I believe he's going to have... they're even off. To the line, it's Yazik to the line leading that lap. Collins wants to lead a left so bad he wants that race lead. He just cannot get it down there in turn 3 and 4.
But he was lucky to hold on to second. Cole Williams didn't do too hot in turns 3 and 4, and so he wasn't up alongside with Collins, when they were on the front straight, if he had been, maybe he could have challenged for second in turns 1 and 2.
Man, fighting that high side down there in 3 and 4 there, Sam, it is so hard to do when you're on the bottom side of the racetrack because your car is going to push on the exit of the corner really tight off, and your job is trying to make sure not to hit the car on the outside line, which is causing the outside line to get a much better run.
These 3 drivers now have a problem, and you probably just saw it happening there at the back of your screen. There's a new driver in 4th position. Tim Bills has just made the pass on Louis Robinette.
Yeah, the big old shark is coming here, Sam, and I tell you what, he has gobbled pretty much everybody up right now since the drop of the green flag. He's got 3 more cars to eat up.
He's got a bit of a gap before he gets there. Let's see what kind of lap times they run across the line this time, though. Brian Jarzik leads them across. He runs a 23.9, and Tim Bills also a 23.9, so no progress yet. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Remember, at lap 62 there'll be a competition caution.
Battle for the race lead. Collins looking towards the inside once again, down in 3 and 4. He got a much better run off of turn 2. Side by side, Jarzik may get the runoff. He does get the runoff off the exit of turn 2, beats Collins to the line. Collins is doing everything he can, but he's got to be careful when he's doing that, because if Cole Williams gets a much better run than what Collins does, Collins might lose that second spot.
Yeah, but right now Collins has been doing a really good job to make sure he only attempts the passes when Williams, I guess, is outside of range. And right now they put lap 37 on the board. Collins going to wait a couple more turns before he attempts anything else.
Here we go. Collins is going to have a nice big run off of turn number 2 again, looking towards the inside, getting to that left rear quarter panel. Sticking really close to that left rear quarter panel this time around, and I think Jarzik once again will get the run off. Yes, he will.
Well, Jarzik didn't get a good exit off of turn 2, and I'm wondering if Collins is starting to realise that's biting Jarzik a bit. Because remember, that's where, and again, Jarzik gets loose exit in turn 2. Remember, that's the wall he knocked down earlier.
Yeah, it just seems like Collins is so much better on each corner of the racetrack and just cannot get that runoff of turn number 4 to get that race lead. But man, Collins just gets these huge runs on Brian Jarzik down 1 and 2. This is his money corner right here.
Yeah, well, Collins is betting that Jarzik will slide exit in turn 2 again, but it doesn't happen this time. Jarzik did a pretty nice job there.
Oh man, look at this, closely, door to door this time around for the race lead. Jarzik trying to get that runoff off the exit of the corner, fighting to the line. It's Jarzik to the line. Oh.
They're running 2 tenths a lap slower as they run side by side. This is allowing Tim Bills to eat into this lead of his lead pack, but it's working for
Jarzik
Collins.
hit the wall. Jarzik hit the wall.
And that will give Collins the lead in turns 3 and 4. Let's see if he can pull it up.
Jarzik says no, but Collins does lead his first lap of the night. Ooh, maybe Jarzik hit the wall again.
Collins really wants to see the yellow flag fly right about now.
And he got cleared. Cleared him. There we go. Cleared him off of turn number 2. Jarzik's going to fight back to the inside, close to that left rear quarter panel of Collins. And I think Collins is going to get on the exit of the corner. He does.
Yeah, now Jarzik's got to worry about Cole Williams here, because Williams has also been watching Jarzik the last couple of laps, seen him sliding a bit on the exit of turn 2. Will Williams take advantage? And look how close Tim Bills is to them all now.
These guys are racing up here. Cole Williams is just riding right now until he sees in his rearview mirror that big old 37 machine of Tim Bills is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
What's getting smaller and smaller is that number 95 machine of Dalton Collins in everyone's windshield. As I say, that Jarzik keeps up into him on the entry of turn 1, but I guess he'll pay for that on the back straight. Maybe not. Jarzik's still within striking range. I have a feeling Collins has a better car right now, but who knows, that could change.
And the best thing you can do right now, since you can't change tires, is probably just kind of lay back just a little bit to cool down the tires. Because if you can cool down the tires a little bit, you can get a good run on somebody. Usually the cooler temperature on those tires means more grip in the tires. So especially in a night setting like this. And Jarzik got really close to the wall from turn number 2 for like the 3rd time already.
17 cars still left in the race. They are all on the lead lap. Travis Owens is rounding them out right now. Still have some packs throughout the track. A bit of side-by-side racing going on. I see Jeff Falk now of line. But the biggest battle on track is the one we've had on screen for the past several laps. As now the top 4 cars all nose to tail down the back straight.
Yeah, here comes Tim Bills. Tim Bills, he's caught Cole Williams. Now it's just a matter on trying to pass him. Let's see how tough Tim Bills really is, if he's really just trying to take care of his tires. Because if he did take care of his tires, Sam, and those tires are nice and cool, he can really gun for a position on Cole Williams.
Wonder how much you can really take care of your tyres coming from 16th on the grid up to 4th place though. But even then, as long as these drivers can hold position in the top 4 or so here, they are only 15 laps away from that halfway caution.
Top 4 still remaining single file at the moment. Drivers are trying to see what lines they can take. Tim Bill's going really high above the racetrack down turn number 1. He actually lost a little momentum to Cole Williams there for doing that. I just wonder if the bumps up there really play a factor in slowing the momentum of your car.
Now enjoy this racing while it lasts. I know it's got a bit strung out here, but still quite exciting up front. If we've seen clean first half of races in several of these races this year, and the caution flags have flown in the second half, this could be an entirely different race we're looking at in about 20 or 30 laps time, which is another reason I think right now all these drivers want to be up front for the end of this halfway point, because then if there is trouble on the halfway point restart, they'll be in front of it.
Man, these guys are really nose to tail. The top 4 cars right now, nose to tail. And these drivers, they don't really want to try to pull on out, because that higher side of the racetrack on older tires, as the tires wear, that high side really becomes the grippiest part of the racetrack. Cole Williams to that left rear quarter panel of Yazik did not make it happen, but when he attempted that brought up Tim Bills right up there with him.
Yeah, now as you watch the top 4 going around nose to tail, you might...
Yazik in trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry, big trouble on the back straight. Tim Knott, this is what I was about to mention. We had the big pack of cars racing for 7th place, and Matt Vade and Tim Knott finally come together in turn 2. That brings out the second caution.
Tim Knott. At the replay I'm looking, it looked like he got loose. And when he got loose, he got tapped in the bumper by Jeff Faulkner. And when that happened, it ended up turning Tim Knott. And that tagged Matt Vade there hard into the outside wall.
Yeah, Vade kind of an innocent victim here. This battle for 6th was really starting to brew, or 7th rather, was really starting to brew right at the time, Tanner, that you noticed Cole Williams attempting to pass for 2nd. And then right as the battle for 2nd was starting to get exciting, it kind of boiled over back here, unfortunately. And remember, Tim Knott came into this race 3rd in the points, so this isn't going to help him out in the championship fight.
Yeah, if you've seen right there, Sam, down and coming towards the exit of turn number 2, Tim Knott's car just steps out, and he gets off the gas to save his car. And when he does that, the momentum from the 75 machine of Jeff Faulkner just tags Tim Knott in the right rear quarter panel, which gets Tim Knott's car all unstable and just hits Matt Vade.
Justin Blackdeer was our points leader. We were watching there. He was able to go through, and as a couple of drivers who were running up in the top 10 pit for some repairs, I must imagine, coming to the pits, Justin Blackdeer emerges in 8th position. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back for the restart, and it will be a short green flag round, whatever happens when we come back, with less than 10 laps left to go before that competition caution. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway, where we are about to go green flag racing. Not for very long though, it's just going to be a short run to the next caution flag at the halfway point, where these drivers will then be able to come in and get tyres. Who will be the leader? Right now it's Dalton Collins, who's ahead of Cole Williams, as a full Mustang pace car makes a hard left turn. Collins has control of the field, and now he goes and makes contact with Williams before they even get to the line.
Yeah, that was a big old jump right there. That caused Williams to really check up and caused Collins to really check on out to work with that clean air. Cole Williams is actually under pressure from Tim Bills. Tim Bills getting close to the outside wall. Brian Yazek's going to block Tim Bills. Tim Bills is going to go towards the inside of the racetrack. Cole Williams holds on to the second spot. Tim Bills on the bottom side of the track looking for more, working on Brian Yazek. He is still side by side with Yazek on the exit of the corner. Battle for the race lead. Cole Williams and Dalton Collins.
Williams looking underneath, but we've seen this happen many times tonight where that lane has not been the desired lane for passing, and sure enough it's Collins who gets a better run on the exits. They go into turns 3 and 4, still side by side. Williams is going to try and make it work, hope for a caution when his nose is out front because it's going to hurt him here on the exit of turn 4. Collins leads at the line once again.
Yep, but Cole Williams is not letting Dalton Collins escape just yet. If he can make another run at Collins, which he's going to attempt to off of turn number 2, that doesn't get necessarily nothing there, but he's still keeping tabs with the number 95 machine of Dalton Collins. Yazek took third place away back from Tim Bills. Tim Bills is actually on the bottom side of the racetrack trying to work on Yazek. Does not make it happen on the exit of turn 4.
Brian Neff is leading that pack back there. He's in 5th place, and then there's a side-by-side battle between the points leader, Justin Blackdeer, and Louis Robinette, who has been having a great night tonight. They're running side-by-side for 6th and 7th, with Jeff Faulkner behind them.
Yeah, Blackdeer on the high side. He may be the dark horse for the championship there, Sam. We've been talking about Blackdeer for quite some time in this series. He is so far remaining consistent and trying to keep his points lead alive.
It's lap 61 now, so I think after they come around and complete this lap and then the next lap, once they're all over the line at the completion of lap 62, I think that's when they'll throw the caution. Right now Collins in that designed spot, Williams still behind him, the side by side for 3rd place again, but nothing happens. Yazek remains in their position.
Scott Formosa trying to get that higher side in the back of the pack, working on Jeffrey Gilliam as Mark McCrary passes Gilliam, and Blackdeer is still trying to work on Faulkner, and he does get by Faulkner there. Faulkner trying to fight back on the bottom side of the racetrack, still trying to fight there. I don't think he's going to make it happen off of turn number 4. Tim Bills is still trying to fight to get that position away from Brian Yazek, so a lot of action going around the racetrack tonight.
Dalton Collins in the lead, waiting for the competition caution to come out at any moment. Doesn't look like Cole Williams will get the lead from him here. He might be able to get the lead when they all come into the pits though. Oh, they might be going one more lap here to the completion of lap 63 of 125. Doesn't make much of a difference up front. Collins still in front.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we might be going for a little while.
Well, nonetheless, this is actually giving a little more time to the drivers who want to go for another position before that competition caution. Tim Bills. Oh! Cole Williams hits the wall! And this is going to cost him a couple positions because that higher side on older tires is the preferred line. Yazek's going to take advantage of that. And there's the caution flag.
I'm betting Cole Williams would have preferred that a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He was probably wondering where the caution flag was, and then he just lost a spot from Brian Yazek.
Well, Dalton Collins remains the leader as the caution finally flew on lap 65 there. I wonder if they just extended the run a little bit, considering that they knew the second caution flag had flown so close to when the competition caution would have flown. They just added a few laps to give them a bit more time to race during that run.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but now, nonetheless, this is going to bring back everybody catching the pace car now. Dalton Collins is going to lead the field down towards pit road. Now this is the opportunity for all drivers to take some tires, get some fresh stickers on every corner of that race car, and try to go for position. And I tell you what, Brian Yazek is probably one of them drivers that wants those fresh, take advantage of those fresh stickers. But who's going to come down pit road here and take possibly 2 tires and go for a gamble? We'll have to see here.
Dalton Collins, Brian Yazik, Cole Williams, Tim Bills and Brian Neff are the top 5 as they come down to the end of pit road. Remember, Brian Yazik was the pole sitter, so he has that desired first pit stall.
Yes, he does, and he's going to try to get there and have a good stop and beat whoever Dalton Collins to the line. He is closer to the cones than everybody else. Looking down, up and down pit road, right sides are going up on every single car. Not seeing anybody take 2 tires just yet. From what I'm seeing, it's a 4-tire pit stop from everybody on pit road, Sam.
Yeah, and that makes sense with the high speed in these turns and the 75-degree night, not the coolest of nights. And it's Collins who wins the race out of pit road, followed by Cole Williams, I think, actually gets that second place back from Brian Yazik.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's one driver that may have taken 2 tires. I'm not 100% sure on that. That could have been Brian Neff.
He came in 5th and he comes out in 4th. He does gain 1 position there to Tim Bills.
Yeah, he was in 5th place at the time of the caution flag. But maybe he did take 4 tires.
Well, we'll go back and check on that. It's going to be a while before the green flag flies again, so we'll take a quick break. We'll be back for the restart here on the Global Sim Racing channel with Dalton Collins and Cole Williams leading the field. Hello and welcome back to Iowa Speedway. We're halfway through the season and we're halfway through this race, and this is usually when the action picks up here, Tanner. Just 55 laps left until the checkered flag is thrown, and all of these drivers have 4 fresh Goodyears and they're going to feel like Superman.
Yeah, they're going to feel like Superman, and they're going to take advantage of those 4 fresh stickers because they're going to try to gain every position as possible on the racetrack. Dalton Collins is going to lead him to the green flag. Now remember, there was contact on a restart between the 46 of Cole Williams and Dalton Collins. Will that happen again? We'll see here as the pace car is going to make a hard left down pit road. Dalton Collins really waiting on the restart here. Gets on the gas, green flag, we're back racing. What a jumper for Dalton Collins.
Yeah, he really made that work, made the rest of the field look like they were sleeping. Yazik on the inside of Cole Williams as they go into turns 1 and 2.
Man, I think Tim Bills got loose on the apron side of the racetrack. Yazik side by side, door to door.
Yeah, Neff got in the wall pretty hard, exiting turn 2 there, but he keeps going in 4th place.
Keeps going, but they did not let Dalton Collins escape, because here comes Brian Yazik filling out that little hole gap, whatever you want to call it, and really hunting down Dalton Collins. Tim Bills is trying to get 4th place away from Brian Neff.
Yeah, well, I wonder if they used the draft on down the back straight last time because they were pretty much running wide open through turns 1 and 2, building up speed after that restart. But now they finally caught Collins. Can they get by him? Yazik's going to say yes. What a great run out of turn 4.
I got 4 fresh stickers, and I'm taking advantage of them. Here I go, and I cleared them. Here, race lead, Brian Yazik. That's what Yazik was saying. If I can just clear them, I can get in front of them and keep the race lead like I did early in the race.
Not only is Yazik thinking about the race win tonight, he's thinking about getting that points lead back. He was not happy at how the race went down last week at Lucas Oil Raceway, which resulted in a poor finish for him and losing the points lead to Justin Blackdeer. Well, the roles reversed this week. Justin Blackdeer, Meyer back in 12th place. Yazik leading the field but gets into the wall. That's not going to help him. Here comes Collins again.
Yep, Yazik got into the wall, turn number 2. Dalton Collins is going to try to take advantage. He's on the bottom side of the racetrack, but look what happened when Collins pulled out. It's bringing Tim Biddles and everybody up with them. It's like a little pack racing at Daytona, but except we're on a short track of Iowa. Holy cow, every car is in one big mix.
Last lap, Dalton Collins was looking for the lead. Now he is struggling to hold on to second place because Cole Williams has that desired high side. He's trying to work it in that number 46 machine. He might actually get held up by Yazik upstairs there. There's Tim Bills behind them all in 4th place. They built up a bit of a gap over Mark McQuarrie in 5th.
Hard battle for second place between Cole Williams and Dalton Collins. Wow.
There's some 50 laps left to go now. Yazik still holding up front. Now remember, Yazik burned off his tyres early on at the start of a race. He's got to be hoping he doesn't do that again here.
Well, and when he did that too, Sam, he did a really good job in protecting that higher side, as Tim Bills did take away 3rd place away from Cole Williams and clears him. So Tim Bills moves up to 3rd, but Brian Yazik, he did it before early in the race, staying on that higher side, held off Dalton Collins for a number of laps. So with that being said, if he can do it at first, he can do it again here, as I do believe Yazik's on the point of leading the most laps today. At least he's getting there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cole Williams has lost 4th position to Tim Bills. Well, rather, Tim Bills has taken 3rd position from him and pushed him back to 4th. And now Bills is looking for 2nd underneath Dalton Collins. Bills has not gone back at all tonight. He's being like gas prices. He only knows one direction, and that is up. He is up into 2nd place here, or maybe not. Let's see if he can make it stick in turn 1 and 2.
Man, oh man, what a perfect term to use, Sam, for Tim Bills tonight. And I tell you what, he is really speaking his actions on the racetrack. He looked like he was going to go for more for the race lead, but could not make it stick. But he's really holding on strong on the bottom side of the racetrack there, Sam.
Not going to work for now, though. He filters into 3rd place. Can he try the whole side? Oh, whoa, who's up in the wall there?
Louis Robinette.
Yeah, I don't think he got it, but he was upstairs quite high.
Just kissed it. Oh man, what a run by Tim Bills, but nowhere to go with it. Now Tim Bills is going to go to the bottom side of the racetrack. Look at this dogfight for pretty much 1st place on back. Tim Bills side by side for 2nd, and those 2 cars all over that back bumper of the mid-55 machine of Yazik.
I think it's Yazik probably had a bad turn through turns 3 and 4, held Collins up. That's what really allowed Bills to do this. But now Collins is working with Yazik, giving him a bit of a bump down the back straight. May have overdone it, pushed Yazik out of a groove a little bit, because here comes Bills on the low side. Is there a gap for him there? Is he going to take that gap for 2nd? No, he's not. He's going for the win.
And I tell you what, Tim Bills has been the best car on the bottom side of the racetrack since the drop of the green flag. He's made up all those positions from coming from the back of the pack. I mean, where did he start? He started 16th, and he was on the bottom side of the racetrack early in the race, and he's making it work once again, Sam. And I tell you, and he's trying to gun for the race lead. Can't quite make it stick, but holding on very strong.
Yazik slowing down early for turns 1 and 2. That allows Bills to get alongside him. I think this is actually going to backfire against Bills in the long run here, as Collins works with Yazik again on the high side. But as I say that, Yazik, I think, a bit out of a groove in turns 3 and 4. And Bills gets alongside him, but still can't do anything. And Collins just remaining close enough to Yazik to stop Bills from filtering into that high side lane.
Looks like Brian Yazik's trying to use that term easy in, hard off. And if you can get into the corner nice and easy, you can really get a good run off the exit of the corner. And
it's easy on your tires.
Yep.
Just a little over 40 laps left to go as Bills does indeed drop back to third place.
And we talked about Brian Yazik burning off his tires in early going of the stages of the race. As Yazik gets really close to the wall once again with Collins all over the back bumper of him. That doesn't really help Yazik too much. But I tell you what, from first place all the way back to, I'd say, Jeff Faulkner's back there in ninth. That's a top 9 cars in one single file pack with a couple cars battling side by side.
Yeah, and those couple cars are Scott Formosa and Brian Neff battling for 6th. You saw Scott as we got battle for the lead again. Here goes Collins to the inside of Yazik.
Yep, Collins trying to do what he did before, trying to get that bottom side of the racetrack going. Does not make it work this time around. Brian Yazik knows that. He says, if I can get just a perfect entry and a perfect exit, I can hold him off. And so far, he's doing quite a good job of that tonight.
Well, remember, these are the same 2 drivers that were doing this at the start of a race. Yazik in the lead and Collins in second. And the thing Collins had to worry about was Cole Williams behind him on his bump in third place. Well, there's still a driver on his bump in third place this time by. But it's not Cole Williams anymore, it's Tim Bills. Fortunately for Collins, Bills has dropped back a little bit here. Maybe burned off his tyres when he was trying to work at low lane. And that means that Collins can afford to race Yazik for this lead. And now we can't afford to anymore because Bills has ran them both back down.
Yeah, sometimes when a third place car has a little bit of a gap to fourth place like that, Sam, sometimes they will purposely back off to cool off those tires, just to cool them down just a little bit, and then try to make another charge at them. And what I think happened down in turn number 3 is if you've seen Dalton Collins give a little bump to Brian Yazik, that actually slowed him down a little bit too and allowed Tim Bills to catch him. And this is a battle for the race lead. Collins back on the bottom side of the racetrack here. Tim Bills, who is he going to follow? He's going to try to follow. He's actually a little bit back and forth, just trying to see what's going to play out. Yazik did beat him to the line, though.
I would go with Yazik. High lane is the lane you want to be in. It's very hard to make a pass down low, although Collins is certainly going to try here. Let's see what he can do in turns 3 and 4. He pulled this off once already today. It wasn't easy, though.
Not easy, but I tell you what, he's doing everything he can to get that race lead off the bottom side of the racetrack. And right there, iRacing Scoring scored him at the line. Yazik first. It looked really close, like a photo finish, Sam.
And as you mentioned, Yazik probably going to get those points for most laps led tonight. Provided he doesn't have a disaster at the end of the race here, he should end up being the points leader. Even if he doesn't win this race, he's going to try.
Collins got him to the line there. He beat him to the line. Collins is really eating up that bottom side of the racetrack. But what I'm also really noticing, Sam, is if you look down into turn number 3, and it looks like Collins is actually really getting some good runs on the exit of the corner.
I think he's got it here.
He's got it right here. Yeah, he's cleared him. If he can wash up and right in front of him, that might slow him down just a little bit, but
Yazik will attempt the crossover. We saw that earlier. He doesn't do it yet, but don't be surprised if he tries it in 3 and 4.
What I really like what Collins did there is he tried pushing him up just a little bit, Yazik closer to the wall by pinching him up there, which is kind of killing his momentum on the exit of the corner, and that's how Collins got the race lead, because if Collins was on the very bottom side of the racetrack down by the yellow line, Yazik more than likely would have beat him off.
Boy, a crossover going on for 4th place. Meanwhile, as we see Yazik challenging for the top spot again. I don't think it's going to work here, and as a matter of fact, he's got to watch out for Tim Bills getting to the high side of him here, taking away 2nd.
Yeah, Tim Bills is actually in that preferred line up there on the high side of Yazik. That 4th place really heated up too, back and forth. Action all over the racetrack, but Tim Bills is going to take 2nd place away from Brian Yazik.
Yeah, not good news for Brian here. I have a feeling these top 2 may run away from him a bit now. But yeah, you mentioned that battle for 4th. It's been going on for a couple laps now. Mark McCrary trying to pass Cole Williams. They've been crossing back and forth. Mark McCrary gets it here, but well, this time he might actually hold on to it. Doesn't look like Cole Williams got a good exit.
McCrary's having a great night here, Sam, and we don't really see him battling up towards the front like this, but tonight he is having a great night and suited up for a top 5 finish.
So right now it's Dalton Collins, Tim Bills, Brian Yazik, Mark McCrary and Cole Williams as they cross the line with 29 laps left to go. There you see it in the top left of your screen.
there's one driver that's going to battle for Dalton Collins, it's going to be Tim Bills, because Tim Bills, he's there. It's just a matter of passing him.
And he's not exactly in a hurry to do the pass. I mean, if he thinks that him and Collins are faster than Yazik, maybe it'll work with him. And as I say that, he proves me wrong. Here he goes, looking down to the low side.
Yeah, it didn't quite make nothing happen yet, but I think right now Tim Bills is just testing the waters, and what no better time to do it here, Sam, because we got about 27 laps remaining coming to the line, 27 laps remaining in this race here, Sam. So a lot of time to try to figure out how you're going to pass Dalton Collins.
Yeah, but he's not really taking that time right now. I think it would be wise for him to wait a few more laps and for them to get a bit more of a breather ahead of Brian Yazik. He seems to disagree. Meanwhile, Scott Formosa, he had the big slide out of turn 2 last time around. This time he got in the wall and he's lost 6th place to Louis Robinette. And I think one thing this tells us here, Tanner, is that tyre wear is now beginning to become an issue again.
It's becoming an issue indeed, Sam, and I tell you what, it's been kind of an issue all race long for some drivers. That's why you've seen all the drivers really close together in the early stages of fresh tires. Well, we've seen, top 9 cars in one big pack, almost single file with a couple cars battling for position. But right now, the tire factor is really starting to play in, and it's really showing on the racetrack, because cars are now starting to separate.
Yeah, and Scott Formosa, we saw him having trouble exiting turn 2 that time as well. Let's see how he does this lap. He can't really afford another mistake here, because Brian Neff is right behind him for 7th place.
Yeah, Brian Neff, he was running in the top 5, but he has fallen back to 8th place since that restart. So I don't know, Brian Neff, he did take 4 tires. So, and right now he's kind of probably burnt off his tires or not letting his tires cool down.
Tim Bills looks like he's getting set up to challenge Collins again for the lead. Indeed, here he goes. On the low side in turns 3 and 4, that's Bills in the 37. Collins in the 95 remains the race lead at the completion of lap 102.
Less than 25 laps to go, Sam. About 23 to go right now. Tim Bills trying to see what he can do. Let's see if I go to the bottom here, what would happen. And he's really testing the waters. He hasn't lost 2nd place yet, because the more he kind of goes for the race lead, the more it's bringing Brian Yazik up there. And it technically has brought Yazik up there.
Yeah, it's Yazik remaining in touch of the leaders. Mark McCrary in 4th place could actually end up running these 3 down if they get into too much of a battle.
Boy, oh boy, I'm trying to make out what it says on the hood of... Does that say just driven on Dalton Collins' machine? Kind of reminds me of a movie.
Oh, Collins cut low there in turns 1 and 2. I almost wondered if that was his car getting loose on him. 20 laps left to go when they come across the line this time by. Lap times are 24.1s for the leaders. Mark McCrary ran a 24.0 last time by, so he actually closed in on them a bit. That time around, Collins actually runs a 24.0 and McCrary runs a 24.1. So things are stabilised a little bit up front right now, but they're definitely all still within striking range of each other. 20 laps doesn't sound like a lot for these short track cars, but when you're talking about 7th, 8th mile speedway, it's going to be a little while before we work out who's going to be the winner of this one. But those laps are going to go by in a hurry for these leaders.
Yeah, especially if you're running 24-second lap times on a 7/8 mile racetrack in a super late model. You're pretty much flying, and the longer we stay green flag, the more those laps are going to wind down, and that's going to really pressure Tim Bills just a little bit, because he's still trying to figure out how he's going to get the race lead away from Dalton Collins. So Tim Bills is going to have to think pretty much what he's going to do to try to get that race lead and go for the win. Meanwhile, if he does go for that race win, he might feel pressured from behind from Yazik.
We haven't really mentioned the drivers running outside the top 10 a whole lot tonight. I mean, they've had their fair share of scraps back as well. The driver we really need on camera is the one right behind this battle for 11th place, as Jeffrey Gilliam loses 11th to last week's winner Zach Hoyer. And that 13th place is Justin Blackdeer, the points leader coming into tonight. This track really not suiting the driver of that number 33 car.
Yeah, and it's really not suiting our last week winner, Zach Coyer, at all tonight either. Zach Coyer's been up and down the leaderboard. I think the highest he's been all tonight was 7th place. So Zach Coyer has really been up and down the leaderboard. He's now in 11th right now, and you mentioned our point leader, Justin Blackdeer, not really favoring him, but if he does finish where he's at tonight, he will lose that points lead to Brian Yazik. Blackdeer did have a 4-point gap over Yazik, and right now Blackdeer running 14th, Yazik 3rd.
Yeah, probably better than having Yazik up front. And Blackdeer's thinking about a couple of positions here. Oh, that almost got a bit hairy.
Yeah, right now Blackdeer's at the start-finish line now. Dalton Collins actually halfway down the backstretch, so that's the gap between Collins to Blackdeer.
Yeah, the good news for them there is they most likely won't fall a lap down in the closing stages of this race. 16 cars in the race, I take that back, 15 of them on the lead lap. Travis Owens has gone a lap down due to earlier damage.
Oh, Jeffrey Gilliam really hit the wall off of turn number 2. He saves his race car, did not lose a position at all, but he whacked it pretty good.
Meanwhile, the leaders are coming to 13 laps to go. Tim Beals got quite close to Collins again a couple laps ago, but has dropped back. I think he did brush a wall one lap. I don't know, and yes, it definitely looks like that did happen. I don't know if that hurt him at all, if he's going to have to relearn how to drive a car again. And also, these drivers have been complaining this season about the setups being a bit tight. So knocking down the wall, if that does kick a bit more understeer into your car, can definitely hurt it.
It definitely can, because you're damaging that right front quarter of the suspension of the race car, and that car is really going to hate it on the exit of the corner, because it's going to push up the track all the time, especially when the tires wear. Now, what I have seen Tim Bills do is back off, let the tires cool down just a little bit, and try to make another go at it. Right now, he's trying to make another go at it at the moment.
Of course, the great thing about winning the race is when you cross the line on lap 125, you don't have to be a whole car length in front like we've been trying to keep an eye on him trying to get the position away. You just have to be a nose in front to cross the line first and take a win. We'll find out who puts their nose first across the line in just 10 laps time as the drivers come out of turn 4, the complete lap 115 of lap 125. A caution with 5 or 6 to go would end the race. No green-white checkers in iRacing.
I do wish there was green-white checkers in iRacing, but that just isn't the case at the moment. But Tim Bills right now looks like he's...
Almost had the caution there. Jeff Faulkner and Zach Coyer brushing fenders in battle for 9th place, entering turn 1 right as they were coming up on the lap car of Travis Owens. They all got away with it.
Those are two drivers who would like to ask for a better night tonight, but that just isn't the case for those drivers. Very unfortunate. But meanwhile, up towards the front here, Sam, Tim Bills looks like he has backed off. Now, it's one or two scenarios. Tim Bills may have burnt off his tires, or Tim Bills is just laying back, just trying to cool off those tires just a little bit and try to make another go at it before we take the checkered flag.
That checkered flag is just a few minutes away now. For Dalton Collins, it feels like a long time, though. So he knows he's got to try and hold off those hard-charging cars behind him for the next few minutes.
Ryan Yazzie, he's been consistent all season, and last week at Lucas Oil Raceway, what was the first race of the season where he finished outside the top 10, and I know for sure Iowa Speedway is one of Yazzik's favorite racetracks.
Yeah, and having a favourite racetrack and tracks that you perform better at definitely is a boon in some instances. Now, we've seen some drivers who have been performing well at the tighter short tracks we've had this season not doing well tonight, and vice versa. We've had some drivers who aren't always up front during this series running up front tonight on this faster racetrack. But let's give a shout out to our driver who looks like he'll be our race winner, at least as of right now. Tim Bills does close in on him again. Dalton Collins leading this race. Let's not forget he was battling for the race win last week at an entirely different racetrack, Lucas Oil Raceway. He was the driver running in second who got into the back of Brian Neff at the end of the race, and then ended up getting penalised and lost what would have been the race win for him then, and I think ended up finishing in about 6th position. Well, now
Bill's in the wall.
Yeah, Bill's grazing the wall there. That's going to help Collins here. We've gone to an entirely different track, and it looks like he's going to be the winner again.
Yep, and Dalton Collins not really thinking. Actually, I don't think he's really thought about last week at all this entire race. And we do have a slow car ahead. That's another points leader, Justin Blackdeer.
No, that's not good at all. And there he sees the driver who's about to take his crown away. Go around and put him a lap down. Brian Jarzik in third place there. Justin Blackdeer definitely has some damage on his car. So he's been in something.
You know, we could have had a caution there, Sam, because just looking back about a lap or two ago, Blackdeer and Jeffrey Gilliam may have net coded, which send actually Justin Blackdeer around, spinning sideways on the racetrack, even stopping on the racetrack, and it did not trigger a caution flag.
And we should be able to get a replay of that here before the leaders hit the closing stages of the race. Less than 2 laps left to go for Dalton Collins now. He has broke away from Tim Bills. So here we see a replay of what happened to Justin Blackdeer, and that's definitely not going to help him in the points. Brian Jarzik, yeah, we're trying to work out how that wasn't a caution here. There's a huge pack of cars racing for 7th that could bring out a caution, but let's turn our attention to the race leader, Dalton Collins, who has just taken the white flag. Less than 7/8 of a mile to go now, and Brian Tazarski should be able to hold off Tim Bills here for the victory in that number 95 machine. Yeah, there's Bills. Gets into the wall exit in turn 2, giving it everything he's got. He'll try and hold on to that place there to Brian Jarzik. That could be quite close, actually. Not going to be contested up front, though. Dalton Collins wins here at Iowa.
What a race, what a finish. That was a great race tonight here at Iowa. This racetrack really showed, especially in these super late models, the multi-group racing that these drivers showed off tonight was just superb.
Tim Bills, Brian Jarzik, Mark McCrary and Cole Williams rounding out the top 5. We'll give you the full race rundown as well as drive interviews after a short break here. I have a feeling Dalton Collins is going to want to do a few burnouts and donuts on us for the front straight here though. So we'll let the driver of that number 95 machine lather up on the front straight for the fans here who came out tonight at Iowa Speedway. We're glad you all came to tune in to watch. Stick around, we'll have drive interviews as well as a full race rundown after these messages. Hello and welcome back to Iowa Speedway, where we just witnessed 125 laps of racing action under the lights here at the 7/8 Mile Speedway in Newton, Iowa. And Dalton Collins was a driver who came away the race winning, was able to hold off a hard charge from Tim Bills behind him in second place there. Brian Jarzik takes the points lead back with a solid third place finisher ahead of Mark McCrary. What a race for him, driver of the number 31 car there in fourth place ahead of Cole Williams rounding out the top 5. Another solid performance tonight to Louis Robinette, who was across the line in 6th place ahead of Scott Formosa. Didn't mention him a whole lot in 7th. And let's give a shout out to Matt Vade. Boy, I didn't realise he got back up that high. 8th place after being involved in a pretty vicious wreck in the middle of a race. Zach Coyer, last week's winner, actually came home with a pretty decent finish as well in 9th. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Brian Neff, who was running in the top 5 earlier on, ends up finishing in 10th place.
And Jeff Faulkner started inside the top 10 tonight. He will finish in 11th. Travis McQueeston, driving for Michael Krobach, will finish in the 12th position tonight. Jeffrey Gilliam in 13th. Mark Myers, the last car in the lead lap, will finish 14th. Justin Blackdeer was our points leader. He's going to finish in 15th, one lap down. Travis Owens in 16th. Tim Knott in 17th. And rounding out the 18 car field that started tonight was Trevor Edwards, finishing out 18th.
So those are the drivers who may want to forget tonight, but let's talk to a driver who I'm pretty sure is quite happy with the way the night went. Tanner, you've called up with our third place finisher, Brian Jarzik.
I have caught up with Brian Jarzik, and Brian, it was a much better race weekend this week than last week than Lucas Oil Raceway. Tonight, Iowa Speedway, one I think is one of your favorite racetracks, and you put out a solid performance finishing in the top 3. You got to be happy about that.
Oh yeah, it's Tanner. You know more than anybody. I love coming to Iowa. I absolutely love this place. Last time I was here on the Global Sim Racing channel, I brought home a championship. So it even makes this place that much more special for me. So no, it was a great race. Kind of funny that the schedule went from one of my least favorite tracks to my favorite track, kind of back to back. I'm still a little upset about last week because if we could have finished that one out in the top 5. With looks like Justin's issues, we could have had a huge point lead. Looks like we're gonna have 4 races left after this one. So, but hey, all in all, still a great run for the HPP Simulation Loud Pedal Motorsports Ford Mustang. Amsoil, I had Adam Blattle, your local authorized Amsoil dealer, was hanging out on the stream. We had the in-car going, so we kind of got the more R-rated version of the race out there. But no, solid fun race. Kind of, I just needed a little bit more at the end of that one.
Yeah, definitely. And now since you talk about the points lead, and now I believe you have now retaken the points lead by a pretty good margin as Justin Blackdeer finishes in the 15th spot. Iowa tonight just seemed like as the tires have worn off and they heat up, it just seemed like the cars were a little more harder to make a pass, but it was still possible to make a pass. You were doing everything you can on that higher side to keep your race lead, and Dalton Collins seemed like the only driver on the track tonight on older tires can really get that bottom working. Tell us how tough it is to make a pass on a track like this when the tires wear.
It's yeah, you're right, Tanner. It is hard, man. I mean, Iowa is one of those joints that as the run progresses, it's just hard to pass. I mean, no matter what series you come here in, it's just hard to pass. But especially with these super late models, and they get real tight. No, they're already tight out of the box with the setup and all that. So it's just really tricky. And I thought I was taking care of the tires just a little bit at the end of it, but I guess I was wrong. So Dalton and Tim, they both had what they needed at the end of that one. I wouldn't say I was bad on my tires. The problem was I was every bit as fast as them, and it's kind of like a dog chasing a car. I couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere for me to go, because I was looking at the lap times, and all of us were within half a tenth of each other for 20 laps. I mean, where are you going to go on that? You can't. And it's just the way that the super late model is geared, and the way that the car drives. It doesn't lend itself for. It doesn't lend itself for a lot of mobility around there. But hey, you know what? It was still fun. We still finished third, and we got the points lead back by my math, 9 possibly 10, depending on if I led more laps than Dalton.
Yeah, it was a mixture bag of between you and Dalton leading laps tonight for sure, as you guys were really trying to battle for the lead at certain points of the race. Now we go from your favorite racetrack, Iowa Speedway, to I don't know if it's necessarily your one of your favorite short tracks, but it's definitely a lot smaller than Iowa Speedway. That is Southern National Speedway. Is that a track that you like going to, and you think you got an opportunity to try to get a checkered flag this season there?
We'll see. I've run good there and I've run bad there. It's just kind of one of those tracks I just haven't quite got the feeling on yet. But after that, Thompson, Phoenix, and then wrapping up the season at USA International, I kind of like those spots more. We're just going to try to aim for a top 5 next week and hope for the best, because these guys could really wheel these super late models. They must spend some time doing it, because I sure as have issues on that one.
USA International is a great racetrack. Can't wait for you guys to go there too. So thank you, Brian, for coming to talk with us tonight. Congratulations on a top 3 podium finish, and we will see you next week at Southern National Speedway.
Hey, thank you very much, Tanner. Once again, shout out hppsimulation.com. Go and like our Loud Pedal Motorsports Facebook page. I got to get that plug out there now. It's facebook.com/Loud Pedal Motorsports. Got the big old banner of our Daytona 24-hour entry on there. So go ahead, and if you want to see what we're up to, because we're kind of scattered all throughout, go ahead and give us a look out there.
And that was Brian Yazik, folks, who is now, I believe, our championship point leader, finishing in the 3rd spot tonight. And Sam, he definitely had a good run for sure. But you've also caught up with a guy who's had such a good run tonight, coming from the back of the pack. That is Tim Bills, coming from 16th, I believe.
Yeah, Tim Bills started 16th and finished 2nd. Tim, do you think you had anything for Dalton Collins at the end there?
No, I don't. Dalton definitely was the faster car there, but just burning my tires up. There was nothing I could do with him. I was running for everything I had.
The last 2 weeks, we've seen you start at the back of a field and work your way up towards the front. What's been going on in qualifying there?
Well, tonight, honestly, the figure to start to the back, you could use your tires up pretty fast, which is what it did in that second half. If you kind of take it easier in the back, it kind of paces you a little bit. I thought I'd try and go for that a little bit, see what happened.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked with you passing all the way up to 2nd place. How was the track out there tonight? I mean, we saw that the high side was a desired lane, it looked like, in most of the battles, but then the low side was really the only way to get by the cars in front of you.
Yeah, this track is so much fun to race at. When you're going side by side like that, there's a lot of tracks that can't do that at, but this one, man, it's a blast to run on.
Absolutely it was, and it was a blast to watch you all out there running as well. You seem to have been one of the cleanest drivers during this series. It's really helping you get those strong finishes there. But of course, we know you're looking for another win. Do you think you can do it next week at Southern National Motorsports Park?
We're sure going to give it a shot. I'm looking to get back into the winner's circles again. But yeah, you just got to keep clean the whole race. If you got to finish the race to be able to win it. If you're wrecked and got your car all tore up, you're not going to be able to finish the race. So just try and save it all up.
Now, of course, one thing that's been big in the news outside of iRacing this week, Tim, has been the announcement of the top 3 NASCAR series having these 3-segment races. Well, you could almost say this series of races you kind of run in 2 segments. How do you think, just a general question there, how do you think that does really change your approach to a race when you start it?
Well, you're going to be able to, second half, it's going to tighten everybody back up together, where you bunch over the pack up. So your first half you can run and just, like I said, try and keep your car clean, and you're going to get a pit stop and get fresh tires. So you work your way up through where you can and just make sure you stay clean that first half. And then the second half you can really give it a go.
Yeah, and you absolutely gave it a go tonight. Congratulations on a solid finish here tonight, Tim. Hopefully we'll see you back in victory lane soon. Anything else you'd like to say? Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I got to thank my sponsor, H&H Sign Supply, JustForCrafters.com, Justin Brooks Designs, all the guys over at Wheeling and Dealing Motorsports. And I want to thank the W.A.R Shocks for putting on the series, and thank you guys for what you're doing up here in the booth. And I just want to say that was a really good race there with Dalton and Brian and Cole. That was sure a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun for us to watch it, so we're glad it was just as much fun, if not probably a whole lot more down there on the racetrack. Well, congratulations again, Tim. We'll see you back next week.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
So that was our second place finisher, Tim Bills, and Tanner's caught up in victory lane with our race winner, Dalton Collins.
I've caught up with Dalton Collins in victory lane, and he has been bad fast since the drop of the green flag tonight, Dalton. And I tell you what, you started making moves as soon as that green flag dropped out, man. Taking a 3 wide and a start like that, it was risky, but it certainly paid off and provided some tremendous racing, tremendous multi-groove racing all night tonight, especially with Brian Yazik, and you had some side-by-side battles with Tim Bills. Take us through your night on the great racing that we saw.
Yeah, man, this is definitely redemption from last week. I felt like I had the win in the bag, but that incident took it away from me. But good win tonight. Battling with Tim there. He's one of the best when it comes to these cars. So beating him, especially here at one of my favorite tracks, is really an honor. But great success tonight with the German Motorsports guys. Win number 2 in the season and great night in points. So just carrying on week by week and just go after that championship, man.
Yeah, definitely, and it seems like the super late model really suits your driving style, Dalton, because I tell you what, I've seen you raced in the in official iRacing sessions before and raced with you before, and also watching you in this series. Now you collect your second win of the season, and you only have one race outside the top 10. The rest, it's been solid top 10 finishes. I think your worst finish is actually 6th place, which was at Lucas Oil last week. Do you really enjoy and like driving these super late models?
I love them to death, man. I actually spent a lot of time with Fastlane Motorsports. They're a Pro Series team that I got hooked up with about 5 months ago, I believe. But I spent a lot of time with the Cup stuff, and I really enjoy running the Supers. It really fits my driving style, like you said, and I really love coming back to the short tracks and tearing it up. But just all the experience from the Pro Series races and NIS and A Open and stuff. It really pays off when you go and run the the bigger horsepower short track cars. I actually got the win last night in the second split Pro Series race at Daytona. So I mean, I run those constantly, and get any big car seat time that I can, just to get better and really every track and every car overall. So yeah, just run those big cars and then coming down to these, it really pays off, and just run these things. I really enjoy them. I love them.
That is really cool, and it seems like the higher you go in the series, the more advanced on the cars you get, especially those high-powered horse cars. But and you get to the super late models, man. You take all that information, bring it to super late models. Oh, you can be bad, fast, dominant. But speaking of the super late models for this series, next week we are headed to Southern National Speedway, another little short track, much smaller than Iowa Speedway, 0.4 miles to be exact. Is that a racetrack that you think you can collect another victory on the season, your third to be exact?
I certainly hope so, man. I really love Southern National. I only have one win in there on the official side, but I mean, I really don't run there much. But every time I get in the car there, no matter what car it is, I'm always fast. It seems like, but yeah, I really hope I can pick up win number 3 and hopefully get this points lead eventually. But yeah, people like Yazik and Tim there, man. Yazik, he actually surprised me. I mean, he's been creeping around in the top 10 mostly, but tonight, I mean, he really knows what he's doing here at Iowa, and really enjoy racing him and Tim and really everybody. But yeah, hopefully we can go there and get win number 3 and just go after this points championship.
I definitely agree. And we thank you for coming to talk with us tonight here, Dalton, and we'll let you go and celebrate with your team, and so you guys can get prepared to try to get win number 3 next week.
All right, thank you, man. I really enjoy you guys broadcasting, and really enjoy the series. Thank you.
That was Dalton Collins, who won the race tonight at the Iowa Speedway, Sam. And I tell you what, Iowa Speedway always, no matter what series I watch, always put on some phenomenal racing due to the multi-groove dynamic racing surfaces here on iRacing. And Iowa did not disappoint. I'm really looking forward at Southern National Motorsport Park. That's going to be a tremendous beating and banging racetrack out there too. So I'm pumped up, Sam. Can't wait.
Yeah, well, a lot of the drivers have gone into the last few races telling us, hey, I like this track, hey, I don't like this track, hey, these cars are going to produce some great racing here, or hey, maybe not so much. The truth is, it's all going to be a bit of an unknown, especially for us here at the GSRC as we head into Southern National Motorsports Park in 1 week time, a very new track to the iRacing service. Who knows what we're going to see? Well, we're going to see a new points leader, that's for sure. Can Brian Jarzyk hold on to it with just 4 rounds left to go? Tune in next Wednesday to find out, but until then we've got some people we would like to thank, including the organisers and the competitors in the iROC Warshock Super Series for coming here tonight and putting on a fantastic show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that you see listed on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak and our camera guru Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. A special thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde to provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.